Let me begin with a question. Who is the most revered person from history that you can think of? In our text today, that is Genesis chapter 12, the spotlight is shined on a man that you probably didn't think of, but one that maybe you should have in response to that question. Abram was introduced to us at the end of Genesis 11, but now he becomes the key human player in the narrative of the book of Genesis, and really a key figure in the rest of the Bible in general. Abram, who in time is renamed Abraham, is revered by billions of people today, not just in Christianity, but also in Judaism and in Islam as well. So who was he? Why is he still important? Abram was a son of Terah. He was born in the land of Ur, which is in modern-day Iraq. There, he and his family would have worshipped idols, likely including the Chaldean moon goddess Nana. As a young man, he moved with his wife Sarah and his extended family nearly 1,000 miles to the northwest to a city called Haran. It was in Haran that the Lord called out to Abraham and instructed him to leave his extended family, to leave everything that was familiar with him, and to go to the land of Canaan. God's call of Abram included covenantal promises related to his offspring, related to the physical land of Canaan, related to future kingdoms and nations, and even a promise of divine blessing. What's remarkable about Abram is that he listened to God and he obeyed. Remember, he was a pagan idol worshiper who enjoyed a relatively prosperous life in Haran. He was called by the God, but a God that he didn't really know. Called to once again leave everything that was familiar to him and to move to a foreign land. He was promised numerous descendants, even though his wife Sarai was barren. And so the question sort of becomes, what would you have done? Would you have listened to God? Would you have obeyed God in that situation? It's Abram's faith that is presented or presents him as a sort of role model for us. Hebrews 11:8 tells us that by faith, Abraham obeyed when he was called to go out to a place that he was to receive as an inheritance. And he went out not knowing where he was going. See, it's his faith that makes him revered in the three major monotheistic religions even today. And think about that for a moment. Faith, not his accomplishments, as significant as they may be. Rather, he's known for his faith. He's known for his trust in who God is and his confidence in what God promised. That said, though, Abram's faith wasn't perfect. As the second half of the chapter tells us, Abraham was forced to sojourn in Egypt for a period of time. And while he was there, instead of trusting that the God who entered into a covenant with him and led him to Canaan would protect him, he lied to the Egyptians and exposed his wife Sarai in order to save himself. This chapter, therefore, like the rest of the Bible, is gritty and real. Abram is both an example to follow and a warning about the ease of drifting from faith to faithlessness. These verses are also pivotal in the whole of the biblical narrative. As God says, it is through Abraham that all the families of the earth will be blessed. The Apostle Paul picks up on this theme in Galatians chapter 4, when he calls this promise the gospel preached to Abram. It's a promise that finds its prophetic fulfillment in the death, life, death, and resurrection of Jesus. And herein lies the good news. See, God still calls people to himself, just like he called Abram. Likewise, we are to respond just as Abram did, that is, by faith. For once again, in Galatians chapter 4, we see that those who are of faith are blessed along with Abram, the man of faith. So as you read, as you meditate upon this text, Genesis chapter 12, take a moment and reflect on your own faith. Have you responded to God's call upon your life? Are you actively following him? In what ways might you be doubting? And what does this doubt look like in your day-to-day activities? Then take a moment and pray. Pray that God would increase your faith. Increase your faith as he allows you to see him and to know him even more.